People have asked me before about drawing a sheep tag. I've never drawn a sheep tag, probably never will. I think to me, personally, it's extremely important that I have the ability to draw it. Do I need to draw it? Absolutely not. If I give the rest of my life building water developments and never draw that sheep tag, I'll be just as far ahead, knowing that my efforts, my contribution, has helped the individual that has drawn that tag.
So I'm Mike Spitzer, lucky recipient of a Nevada Desert Bighorn Ram tag. Because of the conservation that's gone on, these populations have done so well. They're managed so well. So many volunteers just give so much of their time and effort and energy to making sure they have water where they didn't used to, or ensuring the habitat's sufficient for them.
So there's numerous challenges facing wild sheep in Nevada. What's happening with climate change and weather patterns, encroachment of people, diseases that might go from wildlife to domestic species or back and forth. One of the challenges that we have in Nevada, being the driest state in the nation, is of course having availability to water on a consistent basis for these animals, because there's competition for water. We really need to look at these conservation issues as global issues from now on and really pull everyone that cares about wild sheep together and move forward with that focus in mind.
Clark County is the driest county in the country. We get less rainfall than any place else. And when man showed up to live here, the first thing he had to do was have water. So wherever there was any available water, that's where he went. And then that water was no longer available to wildlife. And without the guzzlers, the sheep wouldn't be here because this mountain range has no natural water.
Go check it out.
There wouldn't be any sheep if it wasn't for those guzzlers. And a guzzler is built to collect rainwater to later be distributed to the wildlife that's in the area. From here, as it goes down into these tanks here, and then from the storage tanks, the water goes through a pipe down to a drinker. This is the drinker down here. Anybody you talk to will say the number one threat of wildlife worldwide is loss of habitat. We're giving habitat back. And that's why there's a need for these guzzlers so that our critters can have a place to live.
If you come out here in the summertime near these water locations, just to go out 20 minutes, you could be looking at sheep. You'll see a bunch of them piled into one cave, escaping the heat of the day, and then come out, go to the water, and go right back into that cave. It's quite amazing seeing them where they're at.
It's amazing to me to think that just 30 years ago, Nevada had 3,000 wild sheep. And now, today, there are 12,000 wild sheep. There's only one explanation for why. The people who give so generously of their time, their talent, and their treasure.
I've spent my last 20 years here in Las Vegas and got to know a great group of individuals that share the same passion that I share, becoming a part of the conservation and building the big game guzzlers for the wild sheep. Every spring comes around and we do our big game guzzler list of what we're going to rebuild or what we're going to build.
We find places up on the mountains, which is an ideal spot where we think that is a basic in between in areas where the populations of sheep are going to be. And that's where we build 90% of our guzzlers. The materials to build them have to be hauled in with helicopters. And they say, well, why do you build the guzzlers where you build them? Because we build them where the sheep live.
Spending my time on the mountain gives me the most satisfaction that I think I could ever get.
There was no blueprint of how this was going to be done, and we were the first ones to do it. It was trial and error, but we've had many more successes than we've had failures. I cannot name you one guzzler that we built that does not have wildlife using it.
Really what sparked it was an invite from an individual who just wanted to show me what was going on. Come up and do something for the wild sheep. I was like, all right, cool, sure.
Look on the very top of the ridge, and there's a dead tree over here. And they worked all the way over, and I watched them from there all the way to that dead tree, and that's where they crested.
For me, I've never drawn a sheep tag, but I'm always doing what I can for wild sheep. I was lucky to join a friend who benefited from the work of conservation.
It's pretty neat to see close friends that wanted to come and join on the hunt, so it's been a lot of fun. We got sheep. We finally found where they've been hanging out. We're gonna get a closer look, but one's in there is pretty good. He might be the one that I'd scouted last month.
It was in 1964 when the Department of Wildlife had realized that the state was losing its population of bighorn sheep. They estimated the population of sheep in Nevada at that time at 2,000. And they had estimations of populations back in the late 1800s and early 1900s of being 50,000 desert sheep in the state. So they sent a biologist down here to kind of get help. So 8 of us showed up that time to help him. And at that time, those same 8 people decided that they would get together and form a group, and we called it the Fraternity of the Desert Bighorn. Anything you can do to help wild sheep from then on, you're there to do it.
Next Resource Development Committee meeting to be next Tuesday, but we're going to do it next Wednesday though. Hope everyone can come, bring somebody that has some energy that can also help out.
The success of any conservation program relies on collaboration. I think for sheep, we feel lucky in Nevada that we've had the Fraternity of the Desert Bighorn, Nevada Bighorns Unlimited, and all of their subsidiaries, and then the Wild Sheep Foundation, and sportsmen and wild sheep lovers that don't hunt, that just get out to really get on the ground, open up their pocketbooks, open up their time, and work collaboratively with the agency to really be able to have this valuable water resource on the landscape for wild sheep, and really do everything they can to make this program a success.
I think the fraternity is the perfect example of how a group of people, and they happen to be hunters, can get together and find good habitat, devote their time, energy, money, go ahead and put in a guzzler system like this that can keep the sheep in the mountains.
It's all about the sheep. It's all about the sheep. And I was trying to wrap my mind around all about the sheep. Okay, I'll get this. And you go up and you start to see the passion. I've always been a firm believer of a saying that I heard once, and it was, you're a direct reflection of the expectation of your peer group. And that peer group that I share a passion with is the fraternity. It is the Wild Sheep Foundation. It is the conservationist that wants to have this land for us to enjoy while we're here and for future generations.
These people that show up the construction day to build the projects are from every walk of life. Men, women, they bring their, kids. It's anybody's can show up. They can be lawyers and doctors and construction guys. People come up at the end of the day and they say, man, I wish I'd have done more of these before, It's everybody.
If you're a sheep advocate, whether you're a member, a volunteer, a donor, you are the one of 30,000 Americans who've said, I want to do what I can for wild sheep and the things that they need. All the people who I'm working with here, we have no idea who's going to benefit from this conservation work. The people who put those sheep on that mountain, they didn't do it for themselves. That is the selfless act of doing for others. That is the beauty of conservation.
I'm not wealthy. I can't just cut a check and say, here, go build a project. I've decided to give my time, which is equally important because there's that matching money as well when I volunteer.
If I had $1 billion to give, probably would. Some people are strictly financial. Some people are, hey, I can give of my time. I can give of my efforts. I've got a strong back. I can help these guys in any way that I can. And that was through physical labor and building these developments, because it doesn't happen without physical labor. It all matters. Every little bit matters. I think it's really cool, and I'm extremely honored to work arm in arm, hand in hand with other individuals that share my passion. They don't have to have their name on a plaque. They don't need their name on a wall, name up in lights. They give because they know it makes a difference.
There's a lot of groups that talk about doing stuff. There's a lot of groups that say that they do stuff and they raise money, but this organization in Southern Nevada is the one that actually does what they say they're going to do. I would encourage anybody that hears of this organization, come out, either come to a membership meeting, come out on a project. It's always a good time, and it only benefits the wildlife of Nevada.
To sit around that sheep and enjoy the moment. Friends that have been working hard to help me with this sheep hunt. Go back to camp, cook up some sheep backstrap, and it just doesn't get any better.
We've done the easy and fun stuff of putting sheep on the mountain. Now we have to make sure that we can keep them there. And there's a lot of competing challenges for that. There's disease issues, habitat loss, climate changes, invasive plant species. These are all things that we need to focus on now, and if we want sheep in the future, we'll have to be addressing those. The success of Nevada's Bighorn sheep program would not have been possible without the time, money, and commitment of the wild sheep advocates that we have in the state.
It's grown greatly over the years. The last count we had getting close to 500 members.
My focus has been trying to get these younger guys involved because I feel like that's the future of our organization, of our group.
You have to get out there and do it. Feel it. Let the rain hit you. Go out there and sweat your butt off and build these guzzlers. When you're done and you see the end result, I want to see future generations be able to experience and feel what I feel.
There is one project that's called the Woody Project. That's one of my favorite ones, just because my whole family was there.
If it means that I can go to a project and my daughter comes, it's twofold, I believe. It teaches her that work ethic, but it also shows her what conservation is. She sees what we do. She sees what has been done. Family has always been very, very important to me. Try to involve them as much as I can.
I mean, yeah, it's work, it's laborious, it's tedious, but everybody's smiling. You have a good time. When you can make it fun, and conservation should be fun, it's easy. You just do it. That morning, it's actually raining outside, and my daughter comes into the room, and she's like, Dad, she's waking me up. She's like, it's raining. I'm like, great, it's raining. She's like, no. The sheep on the mountain are getting water. It's raining. I'm like, she got it. She gets it. She's 8 years old, and she gets it. What more can you ask for as a parent? She gets it. I think everybody can see the demands that society is putting on the landscape right now. You don't have to look very far. The outskirts of Las Vegas, our footprint is getting quite large. I see the population growing, and you can see buildings being built. I like being able to show my kids that there's more to it than just a big urban society that we live in. Becoming a part of the conservation and building for the wild sheep and for the other animals that inhabit this wonderful desert country that we live in. If we take care of them, everybody will have them for a long time.